Sing and dance forever and a day. We live a life we choose, we fight and never lose. For we were young and sure to have our
way. The batch of 1960 Senior Cambridge Higher Secondary. Please take your seats. We just get the evening moving a little bit. Please sit down, take your seats. Yes, sir. Special guests from our old school, St. Xavier's Calcutta, or Kolkata as it is known. We welcome Father K.K. Devasi, who is the principal. Father, would you please stand up? Father Sebastian James, the Vice Principal. Thank you, fathers, for coming and joining us in our celebrations. We sometimes tend to forget how young we are, you know. We suddenly sat up and realized that, my goodness, it's 2010, it's 50 years since we left school. Good, what has happened to us? And we realized nothing has happened. We're just the same. We're as little boys today looking fair, wearing our old school tie, which some of us didn't have, some of us were kind enough to give. So what we're going to get this evening going. And the first thing that I'm going to do is to invite the best speaker among us, I mean the man who makes sense, R. Gopalakrishnan. Where is he? There he is, looking like a bridegroom as he always is. Gopal, in fact, was the higher secondary batch of 1960, and today he has released or launched, I don't know what the right word is, his second book. He's a management guru, and his second book, Let the Penny, Hear the Penny Drop? No. Where the Penny Drops. When the Penny Drops. You see, I knew I had something right. When the Penny Drops. It's a book, I'm sure he'll tell you a little about it himself. It's about what do you do when you don't succeed. So it applies to some of us, I'm sure. So here's R. Gopalakrishnan to start the evening off, and I'm not done with you yet. Gopal.
Gigi, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Hey, everybody, welcome.
By the way, I'm Ramakrishna, PC, Senior Cambridge Class 60.
That's the literate version of him, but the other version of him is called Gigi. You know, this is not an evening for speeches. It's an evening for entertainment. And it's an evening which happens once in a lifetime. By the grace of the Lord, some of us are here. And all of us can remember one or two people who was with us, but they are not there anymore. And I don't want to sound too sentimental, but heaven knows where we meet next. And we may not all be around. We are at that age when we must accept this reality. And I think when you have a very, very special occasion, you have to interact with each other from the heart. There's not much left in the mind anyway to interact. We lead our lives in a way which we never forecast. Today I met a young journalist and he said, how did you plan your career and get where you got? And I said, you want to know the honest truth? Any guy who tells you to plan his career all his life is telling you rubbish. Nothing is planned. There's the hand of fate in everything that we do. And the hand of fate has brought us together for just one evening of being together. And I want to celebrate this occasion. This would not have been possible, frankly. But for some people who have rendered outstanding, and this is my personal tribute to them, but I know I speak for everybody, outstanding service to creating a community out of this, the most rowdy batch that has ever left Xavier School. Say that again. Nobody can believe that the school could have produced such a batch. And because that statement can be interpreted in both ways, that such an outstanding batch or such a lousy batch, we all survive and celebrate. I have to first talk of Kavita and DK and say that but for the extraordinary effort of trying to get people together, they always, DK and Kavita reminded me of a cow herd, trying to keep his cows going. And each cow was going in its own direction. They created a network of people. They created a community out of us. They revived memories which were long lost. And they made us recognize things that we were incapable of recognizing. And some of that is going to happen this evening. You're going to look at people and think, look, are you the same guy? The only guy who looks the same as he was in 6C is Gautam Sen. Correct. I don't know what his wife feeds him. But if you put shorts onto him and wear pants and sit down, cross leg, he'll look as though his mother business class. Now Gautam Sen, we have all tried to extract the secret from him, we never got the secret out of him. But God bless Gautam. Where are you, Gautam? Now for those of you who don't know Gautam, we want to make him stand up. Hey, get the lights there.
Stand up.
That's Gautam Sen, 60.
Those of you don't know, who don't know?
The second person I want to thank, probably there are lots of people to thank, and I may be forgiven if I don't thank everyone. But the second person I do want to thank is Dilip and Padmini. Where are they? Dilip?
Hey, Dilip.
Dilip and Padmini. Padmini was very modest. He said, it's all done by Dilip. But somebody told me, Dilip would have never done this, but for Padmini pushing. And I don't want to get into the controversy, you can sort it out in form. But I can't tell you how much we appreciate the fact that you have not just hosted us, but you've actually agreed to say, hey, listen, guys, come. This is a moment of celebration. We are together. And let's not talk about anything else other than the pleasure of our company. Dilip, Padmini, God bless you. We will raise a formal toast to you a little later, but I just thought it would be wholly inappropriate for me to say anything without acknowledging that the two people who have brought us together must be first recognized. There is a study done, which I don't know, some of you may be familiar, called the Grant study. Anybody heard of the Grant study? Okay. So nobody's heard of it, I'll just tell you. Sorry? Yes. No, I think at our age, that's the kind of study that touches a chord. And that's the reason I'm not going to give you a very long exposition and keep you busy listening to this. But it will touch a chord in you. The Grant study was started in 1942. Started by a guy of that name. And he was a psychologist. And he said, I want to understand what makes people happy. As you know, happiness is a big subject these days, especially in the US. And he started a study, and he went to the United States' most prominent university, Boston, Harvard, and said, these guys are a cut above everything else by any metric. IQ, wealth, future potential. And he recruited the class of 1942. 241 people. I said, I'm going to track these 241 people for the rest of their lives. So you can imagine, it's the world's longest sociological experiment. No other experiment has lasted that long. It's still going on. And the data that's been collected out of it is lying in a room which is about 300-400 square feet, even though it's electronically stored. So you can imagine how much data there is. Now the subject of what makes you happy should interest anybody at our age. It's the quest that you have spent all your life. And this is what he has found. Because a beautiful article, and if anybody is interested, I'm very happy to share it, because it's been published anyway, and certainly not by me, in the Atlantic Journal, where they have summarized this huge amount of mumbo-jumbo, regression analysis and so on. 7 things make people happy. And I'm not going to tell you all the 7 things because you'll say, bloody hell, we should never give the mic to this guy. There are some things which say you must keep good health, you must keep fit. But I want to talk about number 6 and number 7. Because people who are happy are people who have good relationships. and who are uncomfortable with bad relationships. 7, the people who are happy are people who maintain old relationships, not thriving on new relationships. And they say, what is an old relationship? They may be siblings, they may be cousins, school friends, specifically college friends, early career people. These guys, incidentally, the class of 1942 included John Kennedy, Ben Bradley, and many well-known people who achieved great prominence later on in their lives. And he measured all sorts of things. If the ladies won't mind my mentioning this, because it's a piece of research, he mentioned the size of their testicles through their career. If you want to know the size of John Kennedy's testicles, you can go back. What that's got to do with happiness, I haven't figured out. I don't want to exercise my brain too much. We got a huge amount of data. And I thought to myself, everybody spends his life wanting to be happy. What are you working for? Are you working for money? Not really. You want more money so that it will make you happy. And he says, the only way to be happy is to maintain connection. Not that you want something out of the connection, but the fact of the connection. So I don't give a damn. I don't want anything out of DK or Kamal or Satya. The pleasure of meeting him, talking about some silly thing that happened, and just going back. It's a huge moment in your life. So I want to really celebrate this moment by saying thanks to DK, Kavita, and Philip and Padmini, that we've been brought together for just one moment of ecstasy. Tomorrow morning, it will be another 3. And maybe you'll get some photographs, and PK will upload it on his website. But it's a moment that we need to think about. Let's enjoy and celebrate the evening with utterly useless stories, but which cause special happiness to you. That's what the evening is all about. I was trying to think to myself, what would be such a story? And then I run into my old friend Vijay Mundra. And this is a story that everybody in this class knows. He says, do you remember in standard 5C when Diageo was teaching, you were trying to say, sit on it. Now for those of you who don't know, Diageo was a very petite person. I don't think he weighed much more than 55 pounds at the age of 60. And his ability to stick an envelope was not due to lack of adequate gravitas in himself, but the poor quality of the gum on the envelope. And in an attempt to help him, I used to be reasonably studious sitting in the front row. I said, sir, it's not sticking, why don't you sit on the envelope, on the table? Which I thought, because he was sort of applying his. Unfortunately, he misunderstood. It's a lesson I will remember for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter what you wanted to say, it matters what he understood. And he thought I'm making fun of his light weight. And since then I've been very respectful of T2 Mathur and never joke with him. Because he may also misunderstand me or lost his And he called me up in the presence of all these guys who had black hair and big smiles and happy at that time. And he beat the hair out of me. And then I went back to sit on my chair. And I had this wonderful, lovely human being called Vijay Mundra, who was my neighbor. And for some strange reason, the only writing implement that he had in his hand was a sharp pencil. He held it vertically. Why would a guy who's a perfectly sensible, decent human being, who is meant for much greater things in his life, like beating the hell out of a stock, want to literally do that kind of thing? Unfortunately, as soon as I sat down, there was a sharp effect. It lasted throughout my life and affected my marriage life.
That's a quite babe.
And therefore, there was not one choice but to offer the physiological reaction. So I jumped up again. And this time, Diageo was really suspicious.